Broadcasting from Dublin, Ireland, and around the world on TalkingbrawlsMMA.com and iTunes. You're listening to Ireland's premier mixed martial arts show.
This is Mike Dolce.
Ian McCall, James Little Evil Pulver, the Crippler Chris Levin.
Is your favorite Johnny Hendricks,
Frank the Legend Shamrock.
Buffer, your voice of the UFC Octagon. And now, we are live.
And yes, back in your ears, the TalkingbrawlsMMA.com podcast with your host, as always, Niall McGrath. Back on a beautiful summer Friday evening here in glorious Dublin, Ireland. And alongside me today is Mr. Fig O'Farrell from Satanta. Fig, what's up, my brother? Nice evening here in Dublin, yeah?
Yeah, careful now, Niall. Yeah, it's absolutely beautiful. Really is a perfect start to summer. So, yeah, good time to be talking MMA as well. A lot going on.
Yeah, definitely. Before we get to who we have on the show today, you can catch Fig on Twitter at
FergOF MMA.
You can catch me on Twitter at Niall McGrath 4 at Talkingbrawls, obviously on the website as well and on tvmma.com. So, yeah, big lineup on the show today. Obviously, a lot to talk about after last weekend. UFC Krakow, not the best card in the world, but a few decent fights. On the card. I know Fig is going to be very critical of this. Like, yeah, we did a little chat about it last night, so we'll get to chat about that in a while. Also, we've our guest today, Catherine Costigan, is going to be sat by the newly signed Catherine Costigan for Invicta Fighting Championships, and she is going to fight on that card. If you were on the website during the week, you would have seen the exclusive news that we wrote that Shannon Knapp has confirmed that she's going to be on that July 10th event in Las Vegas the night before Conor McGregor versus Jose Aldo. So that's great news for Catherine and great news for Irish mixed martial arts. So we'll be talking about that a little bit later on. And to Catherine, the interview was actually recorded before Catherine knew and we knew the news that Catherine was going to fight on the Las Vegas card. So it's fascinating all the same. Just gets her thoughts and opinions on signing for Invicta FC, Irish MMA, and whatever else goes with that. There's a lot to talk about there with Catherine later on. Also on the show, myself and Fig caught up with Paul Redmond, the UFC featherweight, who is coming off that loss to Mirsad Bektic in Stockholm. But Paul's talking about the last 3 months, signing for the UFC, what it's meant to him, and how it's changed his life, and what's to look forward to hopefully this summer. Paul's going to get back in the octagon. And then we'll be talking a little bit about this weekend's card, UFC New York, where we see obviously in the co-main event, which is my probably favourite fight on the card, Cub Swanson versus Max Holloway, barn-burning fight. And obviously the main event's a cracker as well, Machida versus Rockhold. So really looking forward to that card as well. We'll have a chat about that later on. So first, let's get to it. Fig, UFC Krakow last weekend, we had Gabriel Gonzaga versus Mirko Krokop Part 2. I know you weren't a big fan of the fight. You just to sum up your thoughts on the main event first of all.
Well, no, I mean, one thing I absolutely hate is the kind of the blind criticism of the UFC, and people, journalists, very guilty of this, and fans as well, who will sit there watching the fights on Twitter and slate the thing from start to finish.
Yeah.
If you're not enjoying it that much, like,
turn it off.
I don't know about wherever you are in the world, but Saturday was a lovely day in Ireland. Go outside, go for a walk, and do something better with your time, because I'm sick of seeing this dribble on Twitter of just, everyone trying to outwit each other and who can have the best quip, and about how bad the card was and how bad some of the fights are. If you don't want to watch it, don't watch it, right? You'll feel a lot better for it. But no, like I any of the fights I watched, I really enjoyed, bar the main event. I thought there was some, the great thing with these cards is the breakout performances, like, I'm sure we'll get to talk to them in a bit. Stevie Ray,
yeah.
Leon Rocky Edwards, absolute, star-making performances, coming out parties for these guys. But just the main event, while it was a great sense of occasion and a great, it was a great occasion. And what I say, Dan Hardy and John Gooden did a fantastic job on this.
What I noticed about Dan and John, some of the fights, they weren't great, but Dan and John did their utmost to keep the viewer involved in the fight card. They did, to keep it interesting for the viewer during the fights, and I really did. I'd sentiment your comments there and hold them. Definitely, really, really good job from the guys again.
Absolutely, and the thing is, even if you cross over to other sports, namely football, I mean, you have just kind of iconic bits of commentary, like Andy Gray has a few and that kind of thing. And it always comes in, games or events where there's a huge sense of occasion. And unfortunately for John and Dan, they're not always going to get that with the EMEA. Now, not to say that they don't get good fights or they don't get big profile fights, but, just a massive sense of occasion can always make the commentary. And I thought they did a very good job of that, but I thought the main event was very possibly
go at it.
One of the worst quality main events in UFC history. But that's not to slate the card. There's some really, really good stuff on it. Jimmy Manoa, Jan Blachowicz. I mean, they're two. I'd probably have them in my top 10 light heavyweights. That was a very, very good fight, back and forth. Not to say it wasn't a close decision, but it was one of those, that
I think Jimmy. It was a cautious fight. Though Jimmy, obviously, we learned that his knee was, he I think he did the MCL, ACL, PCL, or whatever it was. He blew out his knee pretty bad beforehand and didn't really, he couldn't really commit. I think as much as he wanted to on the stand up. But it was a sensible performance from Jimmy. Something that there was obviously a little bit of reserve. He was thinking about the knee, but a good win all the same. A cautious fight to say the least, but technically very good.
Yeah, no, like I really enjoyed that fight, and I enjoyed any close fight where like Jimmy had his moments, Jan had his moments, and obviously you would like to see a finish from either guy, but no, like I really enjoyed that, and I almost think that the quality, it was a high quality fight, could have been a main eventer, but just because the two guys have the name power and that kind of thing, obviously it was the obvious candidate for the main event, you know what I mean? But like all in all, a good event, and I'm sure, like, who in particular caught your eye when you watched the fight?
Well, obviously, I think the biggest surprise of the night was Morena Moros, beating Jojo Calderwood. I don't think anyone really expected that. That was 1 minute 30 seconds of the very first round. Joe really didn't seem to show up. I know she put out in her Twitter during the week that something happened on the Friday night before the fight, which there's going to be a lot of speculation around that, but very disappointed with Joe's performance. That was probably the standout fight, and obviously Stevie Ray as well. There was a little bit of cage grabbing going on in that fight. Stevie was guilty of it, and was Marcin Bandel, but a great win for Stevie, and I think it actually should have got a bonus, which it didn't. A good finish. He got main position and then finished him off on the deck. Those two fights probably stood out for me, and then obviously Leon Edwards was that 8-second knockout, the second fastest in UFC history of Seth Brzezinski. It was really phenomenal performance. Obviously Leon got a game-changing and life-changing bonus award as well, but they'd be the three fights that really stuck out for me on the card. And the main event, I wouldn't be as critical. I really did not care for this main event. I wasn't over in Poland, and I'm going to be honest, one of the reasons why I didn't go over to Poland was because the card as a whole really didn't appeal to me. Once I think Ash was pulled from the card and Claudia Gadelha, I just went you have to be more selective, I think, about the cards you're going to cover these days, especially with this type of card we're getting on the EMEA scene. Yeah,
no, I completely agree with you. I mean, no surprises, but they were the fights that stood out in my eyes as well. And disappointing. It would have been very nice to see Jojo get the win, and
of course
you probably would have set up an all-European UFC title fight in Scotland. The first all-European fight, but I think first all-European title fight. But I think anyone who knows Jojo kind of knew as soon as they saw her make her entrance and saw her before the fight that she just was kind of there in body and not really in mind. So hopefully we'll see Joanne Calderwood come back strong, and who knows, maybe Joanna Jedinek will still defend on the Scottish card, but time will tell. But Stevie, speaking of the Scottish card, Stevie Ray, I'd be surprised if we didn't see him on that. He looked really, really good, and against like his opponent Marcin, he's now, like he's not the worst guy in the division. He's a solid enough guy. So it'd be really interesting to see where Stevie goes. And although he didn't get the bonus, he had a nice post on Facebook because I believe he's a new father as well. So he was delighted with his show and win money. And like, I don't know, to be honest. As you mentioned, going over to these shows, like, 6 EMEA events in a year. They're going to be filled with local fighters. But what I kind of feel a bit of what I wanted to comment on was how poorly Polish fighters did on the night. You've really seen the emergence of KSW, and I don't know if it's the fact that UFC are signing the wrong guys or that kind of thing, but I'm a bit like the Swedish card. I'm quite disappointed with how the Polish prospects got on, and probably not a good night for the home fans. Yeah,
it wasn't at all. Apparently as well, I was talking to a few people that were over there, and they weren't really too impressed with the Polish crowd as well. They thought there'd be a lot more noise in the arena, and there wasn't really that much. But speaking of the MMA cards, I'm hearing now again, obviously, I spoke to Dave Allen a few weeks ago during the World Press Tour here in Dublin, and there's a little bit, I've heard a few rumours going around now. Rumours is only, I'm just speculating, that they're having problems with getting the card here for October, and it's up in the air again.
Yeah, no, I mean,
that's what I've heard this week. So,
to be honest, I think there will be. I don't see any circumstances where an official announcement is made before the 11th of July. So,
yeah, I agree with
but
you.
it would be around about this time that provisional bookings are being made, and obviously they're gonna. Make the provisional booking on the premise that Conor winning the title is what I imagine has gone on behind the scenes.
Yeah.
And the UFC do that kind of thing the whole time. They might make 100 bookings during the year for various locations across the world.
We've seen it happen with Madison Square Garden on numerous amount of occasions before. Obviously, the legislation gets passed. Every year they seem to book Madison Square Garden. So that's just an example.
I don't know if you saw it today, but there was I think could have been MMA fighting, but set a date and a specific card in Madison Square Garden. The target is the first one, on the assumption that the bill is going to be passed by, I think it was late December.
They do it every year, though. I believe they did it last year as well. It's a regular thing, but a sensible thing all the same.
But to talk about the Irish card again, the big question is, there's massive obstacles with any stadium show, I imagine, but the UFC are world-class event organisers, and I have faith they can overcome them. But the question is, if Conor does,
well, I don't even think October is going to be a stadium show. I think they're having a little bit of doubts whether they're going to even do one in October now in the 3 Arena, whatever was planned for that time of year.
Well, my thing is, Niall, is that if Conor loses to Jose Aldo, even if he loses, I still think, say if he wants to get back in there straight away, I still think he's far too big for the 3 Arena now, and there's far better ways to extract the cash from Conor McGregor, win or lose the title fight. Yeah. And I don't know.
It's an interesting one because obviously, the date slated, the date that, Dave was sort of mentioned to us guys was the 24th of October. And, that wouldn't fare too well for an outdoor show. So, unless they're going to do, a fight night here with, 2 American guys possibly headlining, which I don't see why they wouldn't, and have, guys like Joe Duffy, Norman Park, Paddy, the guys on the undercard, Neil, Redzer, all those guys. I don't see why they wouldn't do that either. Just to have a show here. To keep the market thriving. Because it would be, I've said it to Dave, it'd be a huge mistake if they don't come back to Ireland this year. It really would.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. But, the problem is with the stadium show, the window really is so small. I mean, we're in April now, we're having a bit of nice weather, but, even throughout the course of the week, you've seen how subjective Irish weather can be and that kind of thing.
It'll be snowing later on tonight.
You can book an event in July and you can piss down for the whole day. So it really is just like throwing a dart blindfolded. But at the same time, I agree with you. I think it'd be foolish not to come back And
some
you know, with timing and bookings, unfortunately, it's not professional wrestling. We're
certainly
dealing
not.
with here. You know, they
Thank
they
fuck
can't,
it's not.
they can't build up. You know, because you'd say, you know, if Cahill wins his next fight, he's 4-0, maybe get another fight in over the summer, October time. You know, if he's 5-0, he'd easily be in a position to headline a card. But
Time will tell.
exactly, time will tell. You can't plan
And
MMA.
you can't plan anything fucking outdoors in this country, unfortunately. But listen, roll on July anyway first, and I'm sure we'll see what happens. We'll know more in the coming months here on the show. Hope to get Dave Allen actually on the show again soon. Actually, you know, he actually hasn't even been on the show. He's been on video interviews with me on the website, so that's definitely something I'm looking to do in the coming weeks. So do look out for that one. And obviously, you can catch us on iTunes, Stitcher, TuneIn Radio, BlackBerry, all that stuff. You'll get the podcast everywhere. So do subscribe on iTunes as well and leave comments, all that. And obviously catch us on Twitter, Facebook, all that, as we mentioned earlier on the website. Fig, let's get to the first interview of the day, and then we will talk about Catherine Costigan. You know, obviously her signing for Invicta FC, and the news that we broke here on the website that she is going to be fighting at that July 10th card after this. So let's get to the first interview of the day, and we'll be back to talk about that and much, much more, obviously, this weekend's card also. So check it out.
This is Jessica Evil Eye, and you're listening to Talkingbrawls.
Delighted to welcome back on the show, extra special guest. Catherine's been on with us a couple of times, but Catherine Costigan, Invicta FC atomweight. First of all, Catherine, you must be delighted. How are things with you? How does that sound? Catherine Costigan of Invicta Fighting Championships.
I'm over the moon, because we always knew with Cage Warriors that was our platform to build, to be recognised in the world, you know, with other divisions and other cage fighting organisations, and of course Invicta, because it has the most number of atomweights. Even Graham Boylan knew that if I couldn't get fights on Cage Warriors, they were very happy to let me go and fight in Invicta, and of course that was the dream, and now it's come true. But as I say, now it's time to go into the cage and back all the hype up and get it started.
Definitely, Catherine. And you know what? You know, it's been a really difficult period for you, obviously, since the fight last August. You know, what's the mindset been like for you? Obviously, I think it was Melina the last fight. I think it was August. Cage Warriors 70, I think it was. It must have been a really tough time with, you know, Cage Warriors' future being up in the air and not really knowing, you know, when your next fight's going to come.
I think for years, because I never knew when my next fight was going to come because of the weight category that I'm actually in, there was a lot of years that it actually got me used to the idea of sometimes fights not coming through, almost being for a fight, almost getting the camp going, and then suddenly, no, we don't actually have that card to fight. Yeah. So I was well prepared for that for years. It wasn't much of a shock. It was just, we've got to reorganise things. Now we've got to look to where can I go. The minute I knew and they told me about Cage Warriors and we were all informed on Facebook and through that, I knew then, well, we know what to do. And one of the main things that happened in the last few months is I got a new manager. I never had a manager, and this guy, Scott Davis from Sky High Worldwide, is managing me now. He manages Claudia Galhella, and now he's got a lot of girls in the Invicta as well. So I thought he's a great guy to go with, and he actually sounded very genuine. He loves what he does. He's very passionate. So that was kind of what we did in the transition. And of course, I say to everybody, when you're not training for a fight, it's kind of good because you can try different things. You can increase your weapons. You can build your arsenal. You don't always have that in a fight camp. So that's exactly what I did. I never stopped training. I just keep going because I know when the moment hits, I've got to be ready. And there's no excuse for not ready.
Was there low points in that period as well? Because, you know, as you mentioned there, you're generally a very positive person. You know, I see your posts on Facebook and Instagram and on Twitter. Was there a point where you ever got down and went, you know, when's it going to happen?
Well, I think what it was for me was I was hungry.
Yeah.
No, I was starving. I was starving mostly in November. I thinking, right, New Year's Eve, it's worth it. I won't have anything Christmas dinner, don't worry, who cares about it? And it was kind of thing going, okay, every week I'd ask and they'd be going, yeah, we're going to get back to you at the fight, we're going to get back to you. And we kind of guessed when something was up because it is, New Year's Eve is never a fight that they would not ever put on. They would always do it. And to say that I didn't get a little bit sad about it, I did. I got, of course, because I loved the idea of going out on New Year's Eve. And of course, I wanted the Cage Warriors world title. You know, to be able to be recognised as a world champion is the ultimate goal. But I would never say that I really got too down over it because I don't have time. That's not going to work, you know, for the future. So with me, it's just I go to the next plan.
Definitely. And we're still unsure of Cage Warriors' future. Would you have a word for Graham Boylan and Ian Dean and the guys there that have helped you progress your career?
They were so kind to release me from my contract. They didn't have to, because as I say, Cage Warriors on hiatus, so we don't know what will ever happen. It was a fantastic show. I loved every minute of it. They were very kind and very fair to me, and I did my job, and so did they. So I have nothing but high praise for Cage Warriors. I thought it was a very well done, very professional show that gave fighters that platform. And if I hadn't Cage Warriors, who knows would have Invicta assigned me? That's where I made my mark.
And Catherine as well, we know you haven't fought since last August, and we know even in Cage Warriors it was hard for you to get fights. A lot of people didn't want to fight you. You've been inactive quite a bit throughout your career, but obviously you've trained a lot. That's not going to be a problem come, hopefully, July 10th.
No, because I find enough challenges to create. I train with some of the best in the world, and I'm always pulling them in to pressure me and challenge me again and keep going with my weaknesses. I don't really think it, because, for the 2 years I was out with the next fusion, I proved to myself on the first fight when I returned, and it was a tough fight, the first fight. I was losing the first round, that's for sure, and I came out in the second and turned it all around. So I don't think anymore anything can ever stop me or make me break in any way. I don't see there's any point that that's ever going to happen. So I think I'll be more than ready. I'll make sure I'll be ready, because I'm going out on the worldwide stage now in Vegas. I'll be damn ready, and I hope the girl across the cage is ready for what I'm going to bring to her.
Yeah, I can't wait for July. It's going to be a crazy month for Irish mixed martial arts. How have you kept active exactly? Have you done different things, or have you kept it all the same with Dermot and guys there?
We never keep it the same, because we look at each fight and go, like, even with Noella's, there was a certain plan that actually never got shown in Noella's fight. Something I've been working on the last year very, very hard, and it hasn't been shown at all. It may come up in the next fight, who knows? But I'm working with the highest level. Like, Rosie comes over all the time. I still have Peter Irving. I'll go over to Marlis Coonan now and train with her again. I want to find the people who are winning. I have a guy called Tom Halpin down in Limerick BJJ. He's a protege of Fergus Quinlan, who's one of the best black belts in Ireland, and I train with him every week. And I have Tim Murphy still pushing me all the time. And I'm trying to create girls from Ireland that I'm meeting coming across, whether they're kickboxers, K1. I have Megan Maher, she's Thai, 48 kilo girl. She's impressive, and she comes down and she beats me around the place many a times, so I know where I am. I know where I'm going.
Excellent. Obviously,
and I have a lot of teenagers as well that have grown underneath me, that have become really good black belts, and they actually come in and inspire me now, because they're very close to my size. So
building an empire then in Limerick.
Yeah, that's basically it, Niall. We have to find the very best that will push me, because I don't believe in just having easy sessions. But I do. There's one thing I have changed. I will only train with a certain size of person. I won't train or roll with the biggest guy in the gym anymore. I'm very careful now. Now is about smarter training, planning. I've learned a lot between nutrition and having strength coaches from Manchester. It's a lot. Even having, the manager. I'm learning how to deal with media. I'm learning how to deal with the whole side of the business. It's all another, little option to go down and work on. So it's all interesting.
Brilliant. Yeah, you mentioned the manager there as well. How has that sort of opened your eyes to, a lot of things that go on in the business, and, having to approach things differently, that are outside of the cage?
Yeah, well, I've always loved chatting with media and fans and everything. I've never seen that to me as a chore in any shape or way form. I've never hidden from it, because I believe they're the people who buy the tickets and who put you in the cage. And if no one cared to watch you, then where would be the point? And I think with Scott, he's, of course, educated me, but I think I'm smart enough myself to understand it. I worked in business for years before I became a fighter. What you have to do, you have to pitch the perfect sale. So I have to pitch myself like Rhonda does, like Felice Herring does. It's, we all have our own style. Mine is a little bit more, different, and I'll keep working on my alpha female, media. And with Scott, he approached me. He told me he wanted to manage me, like, because I was different. So I said, great, let's do it. Yeah,
you are, you're a great personality. You're I always enjoy speaking with you on the show here. You're very likeable. You're very marketable. It's a big opportunity, isn't it? Obviously, fighting in Invicta, fighting championships now, to really, reap some benefits and rewards outside of the cage financially.
Yeah, we've never ever got into cage fighting for the money. It's certainly not at the start. Now, if you get to the level of Conor McGregor or Ronda Rousey, yes. And, I have no problem with how they make their money or how they get it, because I know how hard it is every day in the mats. doing what we do, and especially at the start when you kind of do it for, very little, and it's all about the passion inside of you and actually making that grow and giving it, and passing it on and bringing it through so other people can see it from you and kind of feed off it as well. And that puts other people in a positive way where they want to come and watch me fight. And I think I just have to keep pushing myself and understand that and give people time. As I said, I hope I'll never be too big for my boots where I can't stop and take a photo with someone.
Definitely.
And that day someone needs to give me a good slap in the head and say, snap out of it,
Brilliant stuff. Great to hear. Marlis Conan, obviously, you mentioned before to me on the show that you're overtrained with her, one of the legends of women mixed martial arts, one of the pioneers, and obviously Rosie Sexton, your mentor as well. Have you been back over with Marlis? No, I know you mentioned there you're going to be going back over. Have you been back over since we last spoke?
I haven't, because I've been just chilling out and working on things here and growing my business and my brand, I suppose. But I will hopefully in the fight camp, I will try to get to her. Rosie was over just a couple of weeks ago and she's still number one. Even though she's retired, I think she's gotten more energy after the retirement. She's into different things, and she's training for Ninja Warrior that she's going to be on the UTV version in England. So she's going to be flying, and she Ninja Warriored my butt all over. I always think, I'm getting there to that level, and then she just goes, I'm the boss, so you just know. She's still world class no matter what,
Brilliant stuff.
So yeah, and as many people as I can get, anytime we hear someone's in the country that's high level that we need to train with, we will go and make that time with them.
And Catherine, speak to me about, we've seen the explosion really in the last 2 years of, Irish mixed martial arts on the world scene. How special is it to be, a part of that? And, coming up, I'm presuming you're going to be on the Vegas card. It would make a lot of sense for you to be on the Vegas card with Invicta FC on the Friday night before UFC 189. With all the Irish that are going to be there, it'd be great to, see Catherine on the card on the Friday night. What's it been, just explain to your emotions and feelings, being a part of this evolution and development and explosion on the world map.
I honestly think that in Ireland we were always very good. We're excellent. What was different from what country we come from or not? We all train the same. We all put it in, and it just takes one person to crack that. And I think Conor cracked it and allowed, the gates to be open for all of us. And for women's MMA, it was really Rhonda that cracked it, and the likes of Ashton Daly coming through in that, and myself pushing forward. But it was really nice. I think it was the last Cage Warriors Joseph Duffy was on. Or was on previous, I'm not sure exactly which one. And to be, he's there at the weigh-ins, I'm there, to see him then go to transition to the UFC, it makes my dream. It gives it more life. It means, okay, well, I can do it too. Why can't I? Of course I can do it. And I do deserve Vegas, and I think I'll pump that crowd up mad for Conor.
100%.
As I said, it'll be a home crowd I'll be going out to. It'll be no different than the Helix. Just on a bigger stage, I suppose.
It'll make huge sense for Invicta to do that. I'm sure they will. I have a feeling this fight.
I'm sure Shannon and Julie will give the chance. Yeah. And I'll prove them right.
I'm sure it's going to happen. What would that mean to you? It'd mean the world.
Yeah, it would, because I've put a lot into this. I don't feel that any of the time has been wasted or misused in any way. I think I'm actually at the correct time to join Invicta, because there was one or two back before rumours and talks before my next fusion of joining Invicta when it was first going. And we were close there at some points and almost getting there, but then something would happen like the neck and stuff like that. And I said that. But you know what? I think actually it all worked out perfect, because I don't want to go into it and look as an amateur. I want when that girl is the real deal. She's a pro. Yeah. She spent her years getting that good, and now she's just going to reap the rewards and take that title.
How did it actually come about? I didn't ask you that at the start of the interview. How was it? What was the initial contact like? Was it from Julie or was it from Shannon?
Well, Scott is, he took me on board and he said, well, we have a couple of options. We have Invicta, there's Jules, there's ONE FC. Is which one can we get the most, to work with, which will make sense. And I thought, well, Invicta, obviously, because, if you win the world title in Invicta, there's no one can argue you aren't the number one atomweight, because there's so many in that division that are really high level and excellent. And it's no disrespect to any of the girls. I'm obviously disrespecting by saying I know I can beat each and every one of them. Would I be in that division if I didn't think? Why would I have signed the contract if I didn't believe it? I know that belt's just waiting to go around my waist. And that's what I'm going to prove to Julian. I suppose they saw and they were watching my fights, and I've always given fighting night performances. I've never gone out there just been, okay, I'll just keep up here, it'll be amazing, and just, okay, it was nice, I showed up for the moment, but I didn't actually get the win. That'll never be me.
Definitely. And there's been a bit of talk a bit of back and forth between yourself and Amber Brown on Twitter.
Yep.
Is that a fight you'd obviously like to happen on July 10th?
I think it's a great fight to challenge me and challenge her. Again, I don't know, her nickname is Bully, so what? I don't care if her nickname is Alpha Female. We just go out there and we prove it. It's high level. It's like Conor McGregor's with Aldo. We're not there to be best buddies. We're not there to be friends. We're there to do our job, put on a show, and afterwards, the aftermath is the aftermath.
And presuming everything goes swimmingly over the next year with the Invicta Fighting Championships, and the UFC have their two divisions, women's divisions in place at the moment. Is that the ultimate aim for Catherine Costigan to do sort of, Jessica Penney was atomweight champion before in that division, and she's moved up. Would you ever consider moving up a weight class?
It would certainly be an option, but I did learn from my mentor Rosie. I did see, I sat there and watched her go through the whole thing of it. It was exciting at times, but there were certain times where it was absolutely horrible for her. That knife edge was sharp and it cut deep. And I don't want to be in that position ever that the cards I play are the ones that I'm always going to lose on. So I don't feel the urge or necessity to go to 115. I think if I do a good job, put on a show, Dana White's going to be at those Invicta. He was at the last Invicta show for Cyborg. No one knew. It's just all about the person. Like Conor, there's no reason why. Like Rhonda, she made her division happen. What's to say I can't do the same? And I think it would be the absolute ultimate reward for all us atomweights. Not just me. It's not just me that's going to reap the reward. It's going to be all the other atomweights. So of course they all want to push the UFC at some point. So I think that's very doable the next year or two. And I think because it's a tough reality show was so popular, they're going to need another division. And I really think the atomweights are like the Demetrius Johnson. He's my favourite fighter. I think he's the ultimate martial artist. You can do everything, and still be flying around after 5 rounds like nothing's happened.
Yeah, we've seen, obviously Michelle Waterson. I know she's lost her title at the Invicta FC 10 show, but she had the opportunity to go on the Ultimate Fighter. She turned it down. Similar thoughts, I think, to yourself. And Fabrizio's obviously now the champion, but that's the line of thinking along what Michelle Waterson was thinking: build a division and then go up at a weight class you're comfortable at.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, Michelle's different to me. I don't know how she cuts weight. I don't know what she walks around it. For me, it would be a very easy cut. It wouldn't be that hard a cut. But then we always have to weigh up what the girls are rehydrating to that are natural 115ers. You've got to weigh that up. And no matter how much I want to spotlight the UFC, Niall, I hate to lose. Yeah. So I would rather have a nice Invicta World title belt and be happy that I went all the way to become a world champion and be undefeated. That would be excellent. If the UFC comes knocking, it comes knocking, and I'll deal with it at the appropriate time. It's not that it wouldn't be a curiosity or a challenge to me, but again, I have learned from other people making choices they thought were right for them and didn't turn out at the end the best. Like Rosie Sexton's world class, and I think if Rosie Sexton had been in the UFC, 10 years ago at 115, what would she have been like? It's just her time was different.
Definitely. And Catherine, you spoke to me as well before about, you do a lot of scientific things, with your training and you're constantly looking to evolve in that. I know you were doing the diving style breathing last time.
Yeah, the free diving breathing, which I'm still doing. And
have you added anything else interesting? Because that was fascinating to me the last time that you were doing that.
Well, we're just going every time to a higher level with it now, and my graphs and readings, I can control my stress levels within my body, and I can actually decrease them through my own breathing with the Trilogic rhythms, which is quite impressive. I can walk in, and measure and go, Catherine, you're a bit stressed out today. Now I want you to do your breathing and take all that stress away. So that means basically when I'm in a fight and I have 1 minute to recover and I'm maybe stressed or whatever, I can go back in that zone, completely take the heart rate back down and be ready to just race out again. That's the major thing. And of course, I'm working with a different nutritionist now, Lupe. He's very good. He's in America. He's with my management there, and he does Claudia Gahella's cuts. And he does a lot of UFC fighters' cuts. So I have a new nutritionist in a different way. The other nutrition is great, don't get me wrong, but it's just, at the end of the day, it was business as well. We have to get sponsored. We have to get the right people behind us. So I have a whole core now that's working with me to make me the ultimate alpha female. Brilliant
stuff. And Catherine, just one final one before we let you go.
As much as you want. I love to talk.
July 10th, the Irish invasion continues onto the Invicta scene. Catherine Costigan's going to be on that card, yes?
Yes, I'm going to make sure of it, and everybody's behind me. My alpha force behind me. I'm going to make sure. I'm going to kick up from stink. If they don't have me on it, I'm just going to fly to Vegas and I'm just going to call Cyborg out or something after the fight. And as much as that will probably be me murdered, sure, I'll go for it, you know.
Cyborg as well. Cyborg's headlining that card. It's going to be an absolute cracker. Catherine, as always, really appreciate the time. Just one final thing. Any sponsors, anyone you'd like to give a shout out to?
Well, I need sponsors. So if any sponsors want to come up now and help me out, that would be fantastic. I have my strength team, S&P in Manchester, that help me out all the time. And again, to Scott Davis, Sky High Worldwide Management, he's fantastic. He's been really loyal, passionate person. Dermot McGrath, my coach, I cannot do it without him, and he'll be there corner side with me, having a great time. And afterwards, we'll go blow all the money in the casino. No, we won't.
I intend to blow a few quid in the casinos over there. And they can catch you on Twitter at Alpha Female War.
That's it. And tell everybody, tweet it. If you want to see this fight, you want to see it all happen between myself and Amber, hopefully they put that, or whoever it is, it doesn't matter to me, as long as their record is as good as mine and it makes sense and it's a good and it's the best challenge I have, then that's all we want.
And most importantly,
go to Invicta and tell them. Yeah.
And most importantly, the Catherine's on the Vegas card. That's what we want to see happen on July 10th. Catherine, always a pleasure having the show. Do really appreciate it.
You too. Anytime. Bye.
And that was Catherine Costigan, Invicta FC's Catherine Costigan, who's a big fight. It looks like it's going to be Amber Brown in Las Vegas on July the 10th of International Fight Week, the night before Jose Aldo versus Conor McGregor at UFC 189 for the World Featherweight title. Great news for Catherine. Obviously your future's been in limbo with the uncertainty around Cage Warriors Fighting Championships. Great to see Catherine in the world's premier female mixed martial arts organisation, and great for everyone that's going to be going over to the UFC 189 in Las Vegas. A great character, a really marketable lady, and a good fighter as well. It's going to be interesting to see her make her bow in Invicta, Fig.
Absolutely, great news for Irish MMA, and particularly, admittedly, women's atomweight isn't exactly the deepest division in the whole of MMA, but what's particularly really hasn't come from one of the country's flagship gyms. You know what I mean? It's now the fourth gym based in Ireland to get a fighter in the UFC. And her own gym in Limerick, I'm pretty sure she's one of the only pros in it. I know she's training a lot. Yeah. I was talking to Will Fleury during the week. She's training a good bit in trials, with Sean Tobin working on her wrestling, and Kieran O'Brien Jr.'s on seniors working on the striking and the jiu-jitsu as well. But, I think it's great, because a lot of people, there's kind of almost a mentality of you've got to be in the bigger gyms for your professional career, and, there's a glass ceilings in the smaller gyms. But, Catherine's signed with the elite organisation, and, depending on which direction the UFC goes, she could, if there's ever an atomweight
division,
UFC division, she'd definitely be top of the list on signees. So massive congratulations to Catherine.
Yeah, big time. Catherine's a great person, fun person, always great for an interview as well, as you heard there. Some just great stuff. Very honest person. So really looking forward to seeing Catherine's debut in July over there. Hopefully you'll be there to see that. Just it's great as well. She's obviously mentioned there in the interview, Fig, she's going to be over with Marlis Coonan again in Holland soon enough, and her mentor Rosie's going to be around as well. So it's great people to have around and great experience for her to learn off there with those kind of guys. So yeah, looking forward to that fight. Hopefully she does get Amber Brown. There was a bit of back and forth on Twitter, so let's see if that happens. It's going to be really interesting to see who they put her up against. But big thanks to Shannon Knapp as well for giving me the little exclusive. Good pals with Shannon. We've had her on the show plenty of times here if you're a listener as well. So I think what Shannon's exact words were, it would be ridiculous. Well, not ridiculous. I don't think what word she used. I can't even remember what she said to me the other day. It was, hang on, I'll get it up here now. We're working on finding the right opponents, but Catherine Costigan will fight on that July card. It makes perfect sense for Catherine to be on that card during International Fight Week. You can expect to see her on it. So delighted for Catherine. Great news. Okay, Fig, moving on. UFC big card this weekend. Newark in New Jersey. Machida versus Rockhold. Absolutely smashing fight. Number one middleweight title contenders fight, you would imagine. And then we have another fight I'm really, really looking forward to is Max Holloway versus Cub Swanson. The divisional, as I mentioned later on with Paul Redmond, when we speak to him in a few minutes' time, he's the divisional record for appearances in the UFC at 23 years of age. That's a phenomenal sort of title to hold for such a young guy.
I've seen it, and this weekend's fight is definitely a much more important fight for Cub Swanson because, Holloway's so young and, 3 losses in there, but, win, lose or draw, he's going to be back around again. And, nothing to say he can't get it done. I think it'll be a devastating loss to Cub's title aspirations. And to be honest, I know you are as well, but I'm definitely picking Max in this one.
Yeah, I'm definitely on Max. I think, especially with Max's forward pressure and his box and the high level he throws, I think that's something with Cub, mightn't handle too well. With the volume and the power as well. And the impressive thing about Max is he's got older. You've seen that evolution of a fighter. He's more selective with his shots as well. We look at how he finished Akira Corsani. It was lethal over in Sweden back in October. And then we saw his more recent fight. Who did he fight a couple of weeks ago? Jeez, I can't even remember. Not a couple of weeks ago.
Jimmy Hedis?
Jimmy Hedis. Was it Hedis? No.
Cole Miller?
It was Cole Miller, that's it. Not the best fight in the world against Cole Miller, but a win all the same for Holloway. And that's why this guy, he's on an absolute tear. What is it, 5 in a row since the loss to McGregor? Will Chope, Andre Faley, Clay Collard, Akira Corsani and Miller. He's just got progressively better. He's the perfect example of evolving mixed martial artist, getting better and better. And at 23, I think it's scary to see what this guy could do by the time he's 27, 28.
Absolutely, I fully echo those sentiments. I mean, big fight from this weekend. If he wins, I don't know. He's not going to get in the media title shot, but he'll definitely launch himself into title discussion.
Yeah, 100%. And you're going to go with Holloway in this one? You're going to pick Max?
Yeah, I'll come down on the side of Max Holloway.
Yeah, I'm going to go down on the side of Holloway. Do you think it's going to be a decision, or are we going to look at are we going to see a finish in this one?
Well, I can't see Cub finishing Holloway, if you put it that way. But at the same time, I can see Holloway winning by decision, and I can see Holloway finishing it. Yeah. So that's why part of the reason I'm picking Holloway. I think he has more tools to get it done. I
agree with you. I think the high volume and the high pressure is going to be a big problem for Cub Swanson in this fight, and it's my pick for fight of the night also as well. I think it's going to be an absolute cracker. Both guys are absolute warriors, and I think we're going to see a war on Saturday night. Really looking forward to that one. Just to talk before we talk about the main event, we'll talk about the main event after the Paul Redmond interview. I want to talk to you about the two other fights that really sort of stick out on the card. I'm not going to talk too much. I think we'll just touch on it briefly now. Obviously, Ronaldo Sousa was supposed to be fighting Yoel Romero, but that fight obviously isn't happening now. Chris Camozzi stepping back in to see Jack Ray. It's a fight we really don't want to see. We saw it before. We saw what happened in the first round before. Interest levels, Fig?
0.
Okay, so that we're not going to talk too much more about that. Jacare gets the win easily there again, I believe, and I presume you're going the same way.
Yeah, I know. It'll be good to see Jacare. If you just do it working, sometimes strange things happen in MMA.
Fair play to Camozzi for taking the fight, but I really just can't see him winning. Not the most interesting fight. I think the UFC, they really should have moved up Cub Swanson, Max Holloway, or even Felix Herrig versus Paige Van Zandt, because of the fact they're two very marketable women. Maybe not the best fighters in the world, but the fact they're so popular through the social networks and things like that. Could have been two good-looking ladies as well.
Yeah, some people might call them that. It's kind of...
It's a strange one.
Kind of flirting with the I don't know, foxy boxing or professional women's wrestling, that kind of carrying on. But I don't know. At the same time, they're not going to be against. They've proved themselves against tough opponents, and they're there for more than just their looks. But perhaps the profile of the fight that is factoring towards it. But you can only get. You'll know more than anyone else. You can only get so far in your life.
That's it. What's your looks? Yeah, well, sure, look at me. I haven't reached my modelling potential yet, but it's very, very much in the pipeline. Okay, let's get to the next few. A few other fights actually just quickly to mention on that card. We've Diego Brandao versus Jimmy Hedges, a fight I really looking forward to. Eddie Gordon, Chris Dempsey should be an interesting one. The former Ultimate Fighter winner, and Takeo Mizugaki versus Aljamain Sterling, a really good fight, that one. And Jim Miller versus Benil Darouche is another one. And literally, it's a really good card from top to bottom. We've Corey Anderson, Gian Vellante, and OSP versus Paddy Cummins as well. So some good fights there.
Yeah, our buddy Paul Felder unfortunately had to pull out with the fight with Jim Miller. But Mizugaki Sterling is one I'm definitely really excited to watch.
Big talent from Sarah.
The night for me.
A big talent from Sarah Longo and Aljamain Sterling. A really impressive kid to watch out for. A good test against the experienced Takeo Mizugaki. So definitely a fight to kick off the prelim card in Fox. Definitely one to watch on Saturday night. Not starting too late either. So yeah, can't wait for that one. Okay, let's get to the next interview of the day. We caught up with Paul Redmond to talk about the last 3 months, what it's been like for him making his UFC debut, coming off that unfortunate loss to the fight he took in 12 days notice, where he cut 33 pounds, I believe it was. He got to 149. Incredible effort. So Paul's just going to talk a little bit about that and what's in the future for him. So check it out, and we'll be back to talk about the main event. Luke Rockhold versus Lyoto Machida. Cheers.
You're favorite, the California Kid, and you listen to Talkingbrawls.
Delighted to welcome back onto the show a man we haven't talked to since I think it was end of January over in Sweden, obviously, where he took on Mirsad Bektic, coming off a loss. Took the fight in 2 weeks' notice. But Paul Redmond, how are you? One of the best DJs in town as well, I believe. How are things with you, my friend?
Yeah, it was good, just training away and just getting back after that loss, training's gone well and my weight's coming down, so yeah, feeling good. Good
stuff, Paul. Obviously it's been it's been a sort of a life-changing 3 months for you since your debut in the UFC. Looking back on it now, how do you assess everything?
It was one of them things we knew would be a big ask. I know, 33 pounds in 2 weeks. It was 36, but I only got down to 149, and Mirsad took a fair play to him. I just had nothing for the guy in there, I was good that I couldn't give him a better fight. Nobody wants to go out and get their head smashed in, but when you literally, I'd nothing in there to give me, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I spent a lot of time with you over there, Paul, and obviously the weight cut was, you did an incredible effort to get so close within, less than 2 weeks. You took the fight on. As you said there, was it just a complete dump? Your body just was, you cut too much weight. And
it was one of them things. I was 82 that Thursday morning. So on the Monday that week that I hadn't even got a show for the UFC. I think I was at 84, and I was just thinking to myself, it was the week after Christmas, and I was thinking to myself, look, cage riders are going to be back around town in a couple of months, March. Everyone thought that, and before stuff went haywire there, and I said, look, I better start getting myself in shape. Again, I was never out of shape fitness-wise. It's just, you scored out on Christmas and all. So the weight did obviously go up. So I'd only started eating clean since the Monday. I came down a couple of kilos and again in the shout. And we did. I was out running morning, noon and night. It was training. We couldn't even. I couldn't even spar. I couldn't do any specific training for it really, because it was just all about weight specific and what burns the most calories in a day, in an hour. So it was all just weight related. And I got over there. We landed on the Tuesday evening. I think about 7 o'clock in the evening, and we got brought down to the scales. Both Watson and all was still there. We got brought up to the scales, and it was 171 pounds on the Tuesday. The guy looked at me and says, yeah, 155, that's grand. And he turned around, he says, no, he's gone to 145, mate. And the man looked at me as if I had fucking 10 heads. And he says, that's a bit of a cut, isn't it? I think it was 25 or 26 pounds from the Tuesday, So we got it down as low as we could. And I think I had to do, by the final stretch of water, it was fucking 18 pounds or something like that.
It was a phenomenal effort, Paul, to come so close, But what can you take from that, Paul? Did you get to enjoy the UFC experience at all, or was it just, obviously, a lot of it was about getting off that weight? Did you get to soak in the atmosphere and enjoy it, or was there any nerves or anything like that coming out on fight night?
It was weird. It was so when we got the show, I'd write the things in my mind with like people think, oh, right, I signed that to you, just go in and fight, do the business. So we got, we officially got, the verbal. It was verbally done with Sean Shelby on the Thursday night about like 12 o'clock. I got the show. So Friday morning, I had to go do one of my medicals straight away. So like did my physical with the doctor. I was there a couple of hours. An hour and a half run in before that. Did my medicals. They're kind of water start at water loading. You have to cook all your meals for the bleeding for the day. Then say Saturday, Sunday training, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. I was doing CAT scans, eye scans. Back up in the hospital, more blood tests. Then the contract came through. Things were about 40 pages. You have to read, sign everything to get it sent back. And you're trying to do 3 sessions a day with on top of everything else. And the 2 weeks, the bit I had in Dublin, that's all I was doing. I didn't really pay attention too much of it. It didn't hit me that I was signed to the UFC till after I came home, and everybody was sort of anyone that sort of. That watched the fight, like I did get a lot of great support for the fight. Anywhere I go, the people that said no, it was a good effort or whatever. Or look, I've had Owens and all stop me in the shop and saying, that's not being funny. I was sitting down having a coffee with one of my mates, and some Owens was walking on a kid. She must have been about 45, 50, and just not someone that you would take as an MMA fan or somebody would sit down and watch MMA. She said she was watching the fights and she was saying hard luck. So there's a lot of people are watching, but it actually only hit me a couple of weeks ago at the press conference in
Dublin.
When we were in Dublin, like when we were all David Allen before Jose and Conor came out, he just said get out there and get the crowd going, like, he said to the Davis, they're not going to know who the fuck I am, like. So we walked out, and as soon as me and Neil walked out, everyone started calling us for selfies and signing and stuff, and it was great.
Brilliant.
You don't have to see all that now and then lose another fight and then be gone now, like,
Yeah, they know who you are now at this stage, Paul. Make no bones about it. We're joined here on Talkingbrawls MMA.com by Paul Redmond.
Yeah, Paul, I just wanted to ask you while you were talking about the whole weight cutting ordeal and that kind of thing, and obviously, what compounded the difficulty of it and the challenge was the short notice. Going forward, obviously, it's about time you're probably looking for another fight. And is your plan now to stay at featherweight, or would you be inclined to go back to lightweight?
No, I would tell you, like, last year, me and Andy were him and Han about sort of weight and would I stay at lightweight or try and make a run at feather. And the plan was for maybe finish out last year. There was a good win over Savidas and a good win over Brown. And then we thought like the Christmas card was going to come around, or the New Year's Eve card, and I would have done 155 for that. And then the plan was to go 145 this year. I just came up on short nose last time. I know there's £10. I know it's £10 you have to cut. It's not like I'll be the biggest lightweight out there, and it's not like I'm the leanest. That is that £10 to come at me. It was just a matter of you got to stay lean over 8 weeks instead of, because it used to only ever take me 19 days to. I had it down to a T, like 19 days to do a good cut down to thing, and I could be out eating whatever I wanted for 5 weeks of that camp, and then just the last 3 weeks you just have to tidy it up. So just for featherweight, you're just going to have to tidy it up for maybe 10 weeks, But look, it's UFC, so there's no messing about. That's what these boys do. Like 8
Will
weeks.
there now be more of a focus on the diet outside of camp, and not that you ever let yourself go, but beforehand, but now, especially seeing as featherweight will be a bigger cut, will there be more of a focus when you're outside the camp to keep the weight constant and the diet constant?
Yeah, that's one thing. Like, you have to sort of keep an eye on. Like, with lightweight, I could eat whatever I wanted and go. I would never really go up above 82, 83 kilos. And I used to always know I could make the lightweight easy on that 3 weeks that I ever needed it, and it'd be no problem. Just this, I might have to walk maybe around about, say, 78, 79. I'm 79 there this morning, about 79 and a half this morning. So it's still a 13 kilo cut, whatever way you look at it. But as soon as I get the show, I'm sure the UFC will give me ample notice for my next fight. So it won't be as harsh like a 2 weeks for the next one, So I'd at least get a full 8-week camp. That's what Sean Shelby said to us. So it's easily doable over 8 weeks, you know.
Have you done a test cut at all, Paul?
No, I don't believe in them, to be honest. I mean, I just think, I think if you're cutting that much weight, your body should only cut that much weight maybe 3-4 times a year maximum. You know, guys that fight regularly and guys that can fight regularly don't cut a lot of weight. You know, 155ers, if you're going 150, probably walk around that 170. You know, probably cut 15 pounds and do over 2 weeks. Those guys can fight like 10 times a year. You know. But not if you're cutting big. If you're cutting big, like it's stressing your kidneys, it's stressing your liver. It just puts your body under an enormous amount of stress, especially when there's Dustin Poirier went back to 155. He George Lockhart had wrote up a big article about him and how he did his weight cut. He would have to specifically do it. He would come down from nearly 82 kilos. I think it was 180 or something.
Yeah.
He used to walk around at.
Yeah, 175.
To get from there down to 145, it's 35 pounds, massive, like, you know what I mean? And he was saying, like, he was feeling pains in his kidneys, in his back, like 2 weeks out from the fight.
Yeah.
Like, that's pure stress. Like, that's only going to cause you hassle down the line, you know what I mean?
Of course,
the kidneys that did in Cormier in the end, wasn't it? Or beforehand when he was
in the Olympics,
cutting for the wrestling.
Yeah, that's, you know, you're taking, like, some guys cut 7-8 kilos. That's what I was cutting, like, from the last fight. I don't know how they're doing it. I'm just not reckoning. I don't know how they're making the weight and going back in and performing. That's the one I find it's weird. Like, for the 155ers that are in the UFC, they're like the width of a car, like, and they're making weight, and then they look in bits. But they are going out and they are performing, like, you know what I mean? I don't know how they're doing it.
Yeah, it's crazy. Some of the guys, cutting that much weight off them in such a short space of time. It's mental. But obviously, Paul, you're going to be looking at, there's a couple of summer cards, Berlin, Glasgow. Are you going to fight around sort of June, July time? Is that the plan?
Yeah, I'm game whenever the UFC are, to be honest. Yeah. Just as long as I do get that full 8-10 weeks notice, you know, and it'd be great, but I'd like to go anyway, you know. So yeah, one game for whenever.
And speaking, you mentioned there a couple of minutes ago the Q&A, and the reaction of the fans was great for you guys after. What did you think of the comments that were made during Jose Aldo and Conor McGregor from the fans? Because obviously there was a lot of stick given. Yeah,
it was a little bit silly, you know. I think people had the wrong idea that it was a press conference. It wasn't a press conference. It was
a fan event.
Everybody knew the one in Brazil was to slay Conor. Everyone knew the one in Ireland was to slay Jose. That's the way it is, you know. They're not going to Brazil. They're not going to take it kindly over there. So the Irish fans wouldn't take it kindly over here. But just fair enough, if you are getting on the mic and say even giving a bad statement to Jose or like that's fine. Or, you know, but don't get up and call the man a pussy or this or slag a scar on his face or whatever way his jaw raised. You know, like, well, you're locked out of your head. You know, it's
very disrespectful.
It's not even. It is disrespectful, but the man is one of the best fighters of all time.
Exactly.
Like, you know,
100%.
He's not like. He's the unbeaten UFC featherweight champion. Like, no one's ever beaten in the UFC. Do you know what I mean? You know, he's one of the best fighters pound for pound on the planet. He's in rank behind John Jones. Like, if the man wanted to come down and tear your head off in the middle of the crowd, like, he could. You know, I think these people forget that. You know what I mean? Like, if they're standing in front of them, you wouldn't say. You know,
certainly you wouldn't.
Like that big man on the mic. You know. It is what it is, you know.
Keyboard warriors, we see enough of them around. Fig gets a bit of stick on the social networks from time to time. You know, featherweight's it's a fascinating division at the moment as well, Paul. And you know, I think it's where everyone wants to be. Obviously, you know, Conor's really put with all the publicity he's gotten, and he's really hyped up the division. We've Joe Duffy and Norman Park talking about going down to 145 now. We've Uriah Faber has gone up to 145. Everyone wants to seems to be in the featherweight division. You know, is that one of the reasons why you want to be there as well? Test yourself against the best, because it is one of the most stacked divisions, around at the moment in the UFC.
But see, down like the biggest one now, I think I've seen someone put up on Twitter there about a couple of days ago. So lightweight you have 100, the goods of 100 people in it. I think featherweight you have about 75 people in it. And they are two most, and welterweight have like something like 75 as well. So they are three most stacked divisions, and it's basically because everyone walks around about 5'9". You know, you're either big muscly, you're 155. If not, you're 145. And then you know, if you're the taller one of your mates, you'd be in the welterweight division. But I just think I'm just, that's not the reason I'm going down to 145. The reason I'm going to 145 is because I'm too small. In the UFC, I'm too small.
Yeah.
There's no two ways about it. You know, even in Cage Warriors, I was fighting like even Lewis Long and Lexi Roberts. Yeah. You know, huge. I don't know how they made weight as well. Like Lewis Long is one of the biggest 155ers I've ever seen. Like, and now I know I beat him and all, but I just in the UFC, they're doing it right. They're doing like 10 weeks nutrition. They're never getting out of shape. They can go for days, and they have that strength. So you just can't compete with that. It's either put on the size, which takes a couple of years to do, to get your body lifting that weight, and you know, or drop the weight and be strong at 145. So 145 is where I'm at.
Yeah. Paul, just something I wanted to ask you, and you kind of touched on it there. Just you know, obviously it wasn't a true reflection because of the weight cut and that kind of things that have been previously documented. But just to ask, would you say Mirsad Bektic is the best fighter you've ever fought? And aside from everything else going on, did you feel the level of step up in competition from UFC to Cage Warriors?
I don't know. I can't give a fair assessment of that because I didn't. I'd nothing there. I literally had no idea how. I'd nothing there to give. Like the guy was smashing my head in with elbows from the top and like sweeps or positions or whatever that I would normally use. I couldn't even get to them because I'd nothing in me. You know, that's not taking anything away from me. So, look, he came in on the night. He cut a lot of weight. And he came out and did it. The business, fair enough. He had 8 weeks or 10 weeks or whatever. But he did the business. I mean, he probably is the best fellow I fought, you know.
You know, looking at the division, I was just about to mention there. You know, if the opportunity was ever to arise yourself, Joe Norman, to face your O'Connor, would you accept the fight?
I just think there's other fights there. You know, I think like I said, the 70 fellas there are featherweight, and just 4 other guys, you know. Yeah. And there's other fights there. I think I've seen somebody talking about Siri and Paddy Houlihan fighting on, like someone tagged the two of them in on Twitter. And shitstir. Like, tagged the two of them and says, well, why don't just get this fight happening in the UFC, Vegas, Sean Shelby. Siri just put up, I know Paddy, but the only two flyweights, or the Irish flyweights in the division, why the fuck would we want to fight each other? Like, there's other fights there, like. So I just don't see sense in it, like.
Yeah, no, I agree. Fig?
Put it this way. So there's 4. Say if Norman and Joe drop down to featherweight, and then either one of us fight each other. You're moving one of the Irish lads back a step, and you're moving on a step. I wouldn't want to move any of the other Irish lads back a step. You know what I mean? Yeah. And that's essentially what a loss is. And you're putting somebody back a step, like you're putting somebody back a good 4 months, like, you know what I mean?
I even feel like sometimes that you know, the European guys are kind of pigeonholed a little bit, and you know, obviously it makes sense to have 2 Europeans fighting on the same card, and I understand the reason behind the UFC doing that. But you know, I almost kind of feel that say for the likes of Conor, you know, you have to almost conquer the European circuit first, you know what I mean? Now, granted, as it worked out, Conor didn't fight a European in the UFC until his last fight, but that seems to be the matchmaking they've gone for, and kind of it's not until, so, you know, guys like Manuel Gustafsson, you know, it's almost as if to find out who the best is in the division in Europe and then step up. So, like, while I agree with what Paul's saying, and absolutely the last thing, especially those of us covering the sport and wanting to see Irish MMA do well, the last thing we want to see is 2 Irish guys fight, and it makes no sense.
As soon as Conor was in there for his first fight, I think Norman had already had his first fight in there, and some people had jumped on that on Facebook saying, "Why aren't the 2 of them fight? Why aren't the 2 of them fight?" And it was only the 2 of them in. So then if the two of them fought, one of them would have been back a step. There was only them two Irish guys. So just for people from Irish MMA, saying that from an Irish MMA point of view, it doesn't make sense.
Yeah, definitely.
But if the UFC can ask anyone, any one of us to fight anyone, nobody would tone it down.
Yeah.
We're all fighters, we're all professionals. Nobody would tone it down.
Definitely. And looking at the gym as well, obviously down Team Rhino. I was down there yesterday as well, and you've guys at Miles Price, Patrick Wixted, you've AO now, and there must be a real good buzz around there. But obviously, I know it didn't go too well for AO and Stephanie Quayle over in the EFC Africa. There must be a greater buzz in the gym at the moment as well, with everything that's been going on in the last year.
Yeah, there really is. I think not even the pro team. So if you look right down from Team Rhino all the way down to the beginners, so we've a load of beginners in. The jiu class is flying. The Muay Thai class is flying. My wrestling class and Two's boxing class are through the roof. So the numbers are coming in right across the board, which is a good thing for Irish MMA as a whole. But regards to the pro team, it's good. So you myself, Patrick, Miles, Neil, Donny back sparring, Carl back fighting, Henry Felipe is sound training with us. There's an abundance of lads there,
Yeah, definitely. And I was watching you down there yesterday tapping out PT Carroll a few times from Severe MMA, so that was quite funny.
Oh, he deserved it now. I'm so sure he would have loved it. He'd love to be there. I'm sorry I didn't get on videotape. I see.
And big congratulations to Neil as well. Obviously, a new arrival in the household there during the week. So
that's right. Yeah, his girlfriend Sinead had a little boy.
Yeah, just there's too many series now at this stage, isn't there?
Oh, you're right, yeah. They're coming down. They're going to whack PT Carroll, yeah.
Obviously, I know you have a keen interest in watching the fight as well. There's a big fight on this weekend, Cub Swanson versus Max Holloway. Who have you got in that one, Paul?
I don't know. It's hard to say. Holloway's been on a tear. Cub lost to Frankie, but you can never count Cub out. I don't know. It's a tough one. I don't know.
I'm putting my money on Holloway.
I think it'll be a standard war, to be honest.
Fig, who you got?
I don't think it's going to go the round.
Fig, who you got?
Yeah, I don't know. It really is the toughest fight in the card. There's actually a good few kind of pick'ems in this one.
Put your money on Max Holloway. That's all I'm saying. Put your money on Holloway, boys.
That's what they're all saying. They're all tagging each other on Twitter there a couple of days ago. They're all saying Holloway. Have you got a bet down with Chris? Have you?
Me? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do. Yeah.
Who have you got?
I'm going with Holloway. He's going with Swanson.
He's only 23 as well, isn't he?
Yeah, I'm telling you. No.
He's got the who's who of them, hasn't he? Also.
Yeah, Holloway. Yeah. Mm-hmm. He's divisional. He holds the divisional record in the featherweight division for appearances. He's fought more than anyone, so incredible for a 23-year-old as well. Listen, Redzer, just before we let you go, there's a new gym open as well. Andy's up in Donamead soon, isn't that right?
That's Donamead. I think that's at the end of the summer, around end of August, start of September. I'll be down there a lot. Myself, Patrick, and then any of the BJJ coaches. So that should be up and running. And then anyone else that wants to take part in a class round, just come and see that thing running out in Tinglis.
Yeah, you're doing the private lessons, aren't you, as well?
Doing the private, and then we've got, for anyone who was looking at starting as a complete novice, I'll be starting a beginner course on May the 5th. It'll be on Tuesdays and Thursdays, 6 o'clock. And it's for complete beginners, boys and girls from ages 12 and up.
Brilliant stuff. So we're going to see...
No beginners DJ classes just yet, Paul.
No beginners DJ classes. I don't have the time. We're just training and what have you.
Oh, so you're that good that you could give lessons, yeah?
No. My cousin Peachy's coming down to me for lessons during the week.
They don't call him Fat Boy Slim for nothing.
Yeah, me or Peachy.
I think he was talking about you. Jeez, that's not very nice now, Fig.
No, that's an awful thing to say.
So, Redzer, we're going to see you back in the Octagon hopefully this summer anyway. That's the plan, yeah?
That's the plan.
Excellent stuff. Guys, big thanks again to Paul for coming. Paul, really appreciate the time as always, my friend. I'll chat to you next week.
No hassle. I'll talk to you again, lads.
Take care, Paul. All the best.
All right, bye-bye.
And that was Paul Redzer Redmond. Big thanks to Paul again for coming back on the show. Paul's always very generous with his time. to us here on Talkingbrawls.com. Top fella. Yeah, Paul, talking a lot about dietary changes and things like that to keep the weight. It's more of a lifestyle change to keep down, to try and keep as near as the weight as possible at 145. I've seen a lot of them in the gym up in Rhino recently. I've been doing a video with Joe Clifford. It'll be more on that in a few weeks' time about the Cutman course. So do look out for that one. But it really is about keeping the weight down for Paul, isn't it? And looking forward to the future in the featherweight division. Yeah,
absolutely. I mean, it's amazing how little he mentioned the kind of technical aspect, and the only reason he'd be mentioning that is because he's confident, and as he mentioned, he kind of feels like he hasn't gotten his chance to test himself against the UFC level yet because of the harrowing weight cut. And I've no doubt Paul will be back. Yeah, definitely before the end of the summer, and really looking forward to seeing him show the true Paul Redmond.
I think we're more looking at the Glasgow card. And we've heard a few murmurs about that. So that's the one that probably is going to happen. It's going to happen on the Glasgow card for Paul. Talking Neil on that as well. Obviously, we'd like to see Neil on the Vegas card against Tim Elliott. Tim's down for a fight with him, I know. So is Neil. So I'd love to see that happen in Vegas, but I'm not too sure the UFC brass are leaning towards that way. I think they want to put Neil on the Glasgow card as well. So let's see what happens. Fingers crossed for Neil. And big congratulations actually to Neil. We're on that point as well. Had a kid during the week. So top guys, and the new gym as well, as you mentioned there, that's going to be opening up in the summertime down in Donamead. So Team Rhino Part 2, it's great to see another gym for Team Rhino down there over on the north. So it's a good stuff altogether. Okay, let's get to it. Main event of the evening on Saturday night. Huge fight. Huge ramifications for the winner and the loser. Who we got, Fig? It's a really fascinating fight. A Rockhold who's improving the whole time. We've seen Machida look like a killer, obviously, at his title shot last July against Weidman in one of the Fight of the Year candidates. How much of a tough test is this for both guys, really? Because it's one of those fights where it's a pick 'em sort of fight, really.
Yeah, it's going to be absolutely fantastic stand-up fight. I thought Rockhold, I don't know, it feels like he's on a really hot streak, but he's only 3-0 since the Vitor Belfort fight, and maybe Machida might catch him with something flashy on the feet, but Rockford looks so good lately, or Rockhold, sorry, and it really is a pick and fight. Like, I think there's no shame in getting this one wrong, and I almost don't want to make a pick because I've no real vested interest. I just want to sit back
and enjoy it. You want to sit back and enjoy it. Sorry, I missed the end of you there. Your wonderful technical internet is playing up again.
But the point I was making is I just want to, no vested interest, sit back and enjoy the fight because, it's going to be it should be a great fight, and I really hope it lives up to the hype.
Yeah, Machida's only fought once since that Weidman fight against Dalloway. He hammered Dalloway. I don't think it was ever going to be any different. But what's Rockhold got to do to win this? Is it about matching him on the feet? Maybe get a knockdown, look for a submission. Do you think this fight's going to stay in the feet, or are we going to see it on the deck? It's more likely to stay in the feet, yeah.
Yeah, because
Machida's elusive stance. He's a hard guy to take down. He's going to want to keep it on the feet. You'd be more entitled to think or inclined to think that Luke Rockhold would look to go to the ground if anything.
Yeah, Rockhold's definitely the better wrestler, but if Weidman can't say Rockhold can, hello?
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry, yeah. So, I can't see Rockhold getting him, getting Machida down. And I think footwork is going to be the key to this fight and what wins this fight. If he can keep up with the footwork of Machida, then I think he can get it done. But, Machida 38, very close fight with Belfort, but it probably is last chance saloon for him.
Yeah, I think when we look at this fight, I think Machida, I'm going to go with Machida in this one. I think just that elusive stance and his style, I just think he might catch Rockhold like we saw against Belfort, something similar to what happened in the Belfort fight. He's just such a hard guy to get to the deck, and I just think he's looked like a savage at 185 again, and I'm just going to shade it. I think it's going to be a really close fight. I'm going to look at possibly this going to 5 rounds, but a really, really good fight, or Machida to finish it in the championship rounds. So really fascinating fight all the same. Fig, prediction. I'm going to have to ask you. I'm sorry.
I think I put age on Machida there. I don't think he is 38, but yeah, I'm going to go Rockhold just to disagree with you. And Machida's been in great form, looked phenomenal since middleweight. But you look back at some of his fights against Rampage Jackson, and I think against fighters where he has a fear of getting caught and a fear of being hit. Yeah. Even he can throw up a stinker every now and again, and I'm thinking
he's going to get it done.
I'm going to go with Luke Rockhold on decision.
Okay, Fig. Just before we get out of here, there you have it, guys. A huge fight card to look forward to this weekend. I think it kicks off a lot earlier as well. It's not as late as normal. I think the prelim started at 11 here, so you won't have to be up till 5 a.m. So do check them out. Fight Pass, I'd say about half 10 o'clock. So do check UFC.com for listings. There we go. There we have it. So,
absolutely.
Big thanks to Catherine Costigan again, and big congratulations to Catherine Costigan on signing with Invicta FC and getting that fight announced. Obviously, opponent to be confirmed, but she's going to be on that July 10th card in Las Vegas, Nevada. So great news for her. And big thanks again, as I said, to her joining us on the show this week. Also, Paul Redmond. Huge thanks to Paul for coming on the show. Top man. Always good fun as well. So best of luck to Paul. Obviously, he's going to have a fight announced hopefully for the summertime. We'll learn more in the coming weeks, I'm sure, on that one. And big thanks to you guys for listening in. Obviously, if you want to listen to the show, you can catch us on Stitcher, iTunes, on the website, on Podomatic, on BlackBerry. It's everywhere. Check it out. And TuneIn Radio as well. So do subscribe on iTunes. Fig O'Farrell, where can the guys find you?
At FergoF MMA.
There you go.
On
Twitter. So yeah, do hit up Ferg there, and you can catch me, Niall McGrath 4 at Talkingbrawls and at TUMMA.com. So do appreciate you guys checking out the show as always. We'll be back next week with loads more to talk to. Hopefully a few guests. I'm working on a few things at the moment. As I mentioned, Dave Allen hopefully in a few weeks' time to join us on the show. We haven't had him on the show yet, only the video interviews as I mentioned earlier on. So really looking forward to that. So yeah, from Fergus O'Farrell. Fergus, thanks a million for coming on again tonight.
Thanks for having me, Niall. Take care. All the best.
Sort out your internet.
Will do. Right.
So from Fergus O'Farrell and Niall McGrath, it is good luck and good night. Cheers. Nice one, Fig.